A roll call. Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Motion is approved. Anyone who wants to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the June 1, 2021 meeting and for its approval as well? May I hear anyone? Any motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move that we'll dispense with the reading of the minutes of the June 21 committee meeting and move further that we'll approve the same.
There's a motion to dispense the reading of the minutes of the June 1, 2021 meeting for its approval. In a second to the motion?
Second.
Duly seconded. Motion is approved. The chair will first acknowledge the different members of the House present this morning. I thank everyone, the members of the Committee on Transportation. The chair would like to acknowledge first, of course, the Honorable Villago for the invocation and her presence. The Honorable Precious Hipolito Costello of the 2nd District of Quezon City. Thank you. The Honorable Congressman Sergio Dagog of the party list, APIC. The Honorable Siriaco Gato from the Lone District of Batanes. Thank you, Your Honor. The Honorable Ramon Momonvico from the 5th District of Pangasinan. The chairperson as well on the North Luzon Growth Quadrangle. The Honorable Macnel Lusutan from party list Marino. The Honorable Romeo Momo of party list CWS. The Honorable Rodolfo Ordanes, party list Senior Citizens. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. The Honorable Gavini Apple Puncher of the 2nd District of Bulacan. The Honorable anyone else who are on board, who is on board, who was not acknowledged.
Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
The Honorable June Babasa, thank you so much for joining us, Your Honor. Anyone else among
Mr. Chair, D.S. Escudero.
the Honorable Deputy Speaker Escudero, thank you, ma'am, and the Honorable Representative Angelo Barba, thank you, Your Honor, for joining us this morning. Anyone else amongst the members of the Committee on Transportation and the 18th Congress? Pag wala na COMSEC, the resource person, kindly acknowledge their presence as well, and I thank them for their presence this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, honorable members. For today's meeting, we have the following resource persons with us. From the Department of Transportation, we have ASEC Manny Gonzalez.
Thank you, ASEC.
Ms. Joanna May Macaranas and Mr. Jumir Puntawe. From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Ms. Lord Elisa Pascual and Ms. Lormi Pireda. From the Land Transportation Office, we have ASEC Edgar Galpante.
Magandang umaga, Jen, ASEC.
From the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, we have Honorable Chairman Martin Delgra.
Magandang umaga, Chairman. Thank you.
Good morning.
Metro Manila Development Authority, we have Attorney Crisanto Saroca and Mr. Ronnie Rivera.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
From the Commissioner Audit, we have Mr. Norodin Miraato.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
San Miguel Salunga.
Commission Audit Family, magandang umaga po sa inyo.
From the private stakeholders and the advocacy groups, we have from the Jackliner, we have Mr. Jeremy Chua. From the Mega Manila Consortium, we have Ms. Juliet De Jesus. The ES Consortium, we have Attorney Ismael Baterina. From Piston, we have Mr. Modi Floranda. From FEDUDAP, we have Mr. Ricardo Ibano.
Good morning po.
From
Magandang
Pasam,
umaga po sa inyo.
we have Kaobit Martin.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and good
Obed, magandang umaga po sa inyo. Salamat po.
From ACTO, we have Mr. Ted Mendoza.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Kated.
From Mubas 1, we have Mr. Jaime Aguilar.
Thank you, James.
I have Bendanya.
Hello po. Good afternoon. Good morning.
Magandang umaga. Good morning.
We also invited Mr. Chair we also invited Commute, Alt Mobility, and Imagine Law, but and also lawyers for commuter safety and protection, but they are not yet on board, Mr. Chair. We also have with us, Mr. Chair, the members of the media. That's all.
Magandang umaga po sa media Family, salamat po sa pagdalo niyo sa meeting po natin ng umaga. Thank you so much, Comsec Jan. Itong meeting po natin, napaka-importante po nito. Gusto po natin ipaintindi through the Committee on Transportation of the House of Representatives. No? Ano po nangyayari dito sa service contracting na magdudulot po ng libreng sakay. No? Gusto po natin na maintindihan ng lahat saan po ito nanggaling at bakit po ginawa ito ng gobyerno, tulong po ng legislative branch of government at saka ang executive branch of government. Alam naman po natin, ito'y nagsimula po dahil po sa pandemya, ang una pong pagbukas ng transportasyon natin pagkatapos po ng tinatawag natin ng ECQ. Noong Marso, diniklara po ito, Marso 17 ng 2020, isang taon at 3 buwan ng dumaan. No, 2 buwan o 3 buwan, binuksan po natin ang ating ekonomiya. Ayaw naman natin pigilin. At hirap na hirap po ang isang sektor, ang transportation. Bakit po? Sinasabi po ng Interagency Task Force na ang pwede lang po sumakay sa transportasyon ay ilang porsyento lang. Ang sa train nga, nagsimula po sila ng 15%. Sa jeepneys naman, nagsimula rin po ng 15% as one. No? Balikan po muna natin bago po ang presentasyon. No? Ang chair po at ang miyembro ng Committee on Transportation ng 18th Congress. No? Nakikiusap po na tingnan mo natin ang reminders sa bagong pamararaan ng meeting. Itong Zoom meeting, we have, of course, to follow the protocol to have an orderly proceeding. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Noong June 1, nagkaroon po tayo ng meeting at isa po sa pinag-usapan natin ang mahalaga saan po nilagay ng Department of Transportation ang binigay ng Kongreso na 9.5 billion pesos na ang breakdown po ang 5.5 billion para sa temporary livelihood, ang 3 billion para sa public utility drivers, ang 1 billion naman para naman doon sa bicycle lane at saka yung 2.6 billion para naman sa to assist the critically impacted businesses in the transportation industry. Yan po ang nakalagay sa batas na 11494 na pinirmahan po ng Presidente noong September 15, 2020. Almost 9 months ago. Ako muna, bago magpatuloy po tayo sa presentasyon, nagpapasalamat muna po ako sa Department of Transportation, the Department of Public Works and Highways, doon po sa resulta ng meeting ng June 1, 2021, kung saan po ang chair at ang komitiba ng Committee on Transportation. Nakiusap po sa kanila, pwede po ba inspeksyonin natin yung bicycle lane? At totoo nga po na inspection po ito. Gusto ko lang po ipakita at ulitin po natin on behalf of the Committee on Transportation, we thank the Department of Transportation, the Department of Public Works and Highways. There was an actual inspection of the bicycle lane. In fact, there was a actual run on the bicycle lanes. And we have to prepare the committee report pertinent to that issue. Salamat po sa inyo. Ito naman po ang service contracting na nagre-resulta po na sa tinatawag na natin sa meeting po natin ngayong umaga nito sa libreng sakay po. So, Comsec, please, the slide presentation, please. Yan po ang nilagay natin na pera ng Kongreso, ang Kongreso ng mamamayan, the House of Representatives, and the Senate, of course, the Public Utility Vehicle Service Contracting. Ayan po sa screen, maliwanag po yan. 5.580 billion. Next slide, please. Naglagay rin po tayo sa General Appropriation Act noong 2021, 3 billion po. Next slide, please. So matotal po ang pera para po dyan sa service contracting ay nasa 8.580 billion. Ulitin po natin, 8 billion at 580 million po. Next slide, please. Iyan po ang report sa atin na binigay ng Land Transportation Regulatory Board, LTFRB franchise, no? Ang sinasabi po nila sa pera po na natanggap, ang naobligar po nila ay 785 billion, disbursement ay 653 or utilization rate na 11% lamang. Sa jeepneys, other modes, operational cost 32%, systems manager nasa 36%. No? So ibig sabihin, mas mataas pa ating kinokolekta ng systems manager, mababa ang actual utilization ng programa. So hindi natin, kaya nagtatanong po tayo sa pong direksyon natin para makatulong po. No? Ang Kongreso po, ulitin po natin sa media na mga kapatid, ang Kongreso po ay sang-ayon sa service contracting. Sang-ayon po kami sa libreng sakay. Bakit po? Gusto po natin magsimula uli ang ekonomiya. Wala pong perang mamamayan, hindi po tayo makabigay ng dagdag na sahod kasi wala nga pong revenue. Hirap po mga kapitalista, ang private sector hirap, ang gobyerno hirap. So, ang paraan po ay bigyan po natin ng lunas ang lahat po ng mamamayan ng Pilipinas, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao dito po sa 8,580 million. Next slide, please. Yan po ang lumabas na siyempre picture sa social media at sa mainstream media kung saan noong June 11, nagkaroon po tayo ng maraming mamamayan na hindi nakakasakay. Wala po tayong sinisisi kasi tulungan po ang direksyon ng Committee on Transportation at naintindihan po natin. No? Gusto lang natin through the media at lahat po na nakikinig sa atin, ano po ba talaga ang dapat gawin para tama po at nasa ayos ang paggagamit po ng pera dito po sa tinatawag na service contracting na magkakaresulta sa libreng sakay sa buong Pilipinas po. Ang susunod po, sisimulan natin, nasa macro po muna tayo. No? Ayan po ang na-release muna. Next slide please. Ito pong ulitin po natin, saan po nagsimula ito dahil nga po rito sa 11494, Republic Act na pinirmahan po ng Presidente noong September 15. Next slide please. Yan po ang order ng Department of Transportation. Kung makikita niyo po yan, Order 2020-017, kung saan sinasabi ng Secretary Tugade, binibigay niya po sa Land Transportation and Franchise Regulatory Board. True enough, inaksyonan naman po ni Chairman Delgra. Next slide, please. Ito po ay nung dumaan pa pong taon. No? Si Chairman Delgra naman ay nagpalabas Memo Circular or MC 2020-059 kung saan sinasabi may palisiya po silang ginagawa tungkol po saan gagamitin ang pera. Ulitin ko po, itong pera na binigay ng Kongreso, maliwanag po at pinirmahan ni Presidente na ang intensyon po ng 5.580 billion is to provide temporary livelihood to displaced. Tulutan niyo po, bakit po natin ginagawa para naintindihan po ng lahat. Dito po sa ginawang service contracting, ito po ang ginawa ng LTFRB. Next slide. Yan po ang service contracting implementation. Base po, base po sa 2020-059. Andiyan naman si Chairman Delgra. Inuuna po muna natin yung macro. Ang sinasabi, ang buong picture muna. Ano po sa service contracting. Si Department of Transportation, binigay po ang authority kay Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board. Si LTFRB naman, ay siya po ay nagtayo ng tinatawag na Technical Working Group kung saan po ang Executive Director ng LTFRB ang naging committee chairperson. Kasama niya po rito ang Regional Director ng National Capital Region. Siya po ang Vice Chairperson. May mga miyembro po sila at kumpleto naman. Galing po sa TWG, bumaba pa tayo rito sa tinatawag na ng Program Implementing Unit. No? Sila po nagpapatakbo sa arawan po rito sa service contracting, nagre-report po sila sa chairman. No? Yan po, nasa baba rin nila po ang systems manager. No? Andyan po ba si Chairman Delgra?
Yes po, Mr. Chair, for listening. We're
Mr.
following.
Chair, before the chair will go on, will you concord that this is the structure relevant to the service contracting, pertinent
We-
to Memo Circular 2020-059, tama po ba?
Yes, po. We perfectly agree to the presentation, particularly to this slide that is being presented right now, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Next slide, please. Ito naman po ang mga kailangan ng mga drivers, so kaya pinag-uusapan po natin. Paano po natin matutulungan ang Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board? Paano natin matutulungan pong mamamayan? No? Kung iasa lang po ba natin sa bus, no? Ang sinasabi po ng iba, pupunuin po natin si EDSA bus lane ng bus, hindi rin po tatakbong bus. Kaya ang dami pong pinag-usapan, hindi na lang po tayo pupunta roon, kanya lang magkakaroon tayo ng direksyon para humingin po natin kay Chairman Delga at ng LTFRB sa susunod po ng mga linggo ang buong figura po para naman magamit po sa tamang pera. At sana naman na magkaroon tayo ng tinatawag muna na emergency session para po ma-extend natin ang pera kasi sayang po, 18 billion. I'm hoping that of course the leadership of the House, the Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, and the Senate President Tito Soto will come up with an emergency session to discuss the extension of the funds relevant to Bayanihan to recover as 1 or 11,494. Next slide, please. Ayan po ang mga po ba ang Department of Budget and Management.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have representatives po. Ms. Flormi Pereda is with us.
Ma'am Flor, magandang umaga po sa inyo. DBM, please. Andiyan ba?
Ms. Lormi Pereda po, sir.
Ms. Lormi Pereda, Department of Budget and Management, are you on the call?
Good morning, sir. This is Lorimi Pereda from the DBM. Good morning, Chair.
Ma'am Lor, magandang umaga po sa inyo. Tungkol po rito sa service contracting po, matanong ko lang po, no? Tama po ba ang sinasabi natin na dito po sa Bayanihan to recover or Bayanihan 2, naglagay po tayo ng 5 billion 850 million. Tama po ba?
Good morning again, sir. For the Bayanihan 2, we have provided 9.5 billion for the DOTR for COVID-19 response. 5.580 of which is for the service contracting.
May I ask, Ma'am Lor, Ma'am Pereda, if the funds of 5.580 billion was already released to the Department of Transportation by the Department of Budget and Management?
Yes, sir. Yes, Chair. It was released last year, October 28, 2020, with the allotment and cash allocation released to DOTR.
So wala na po tayong obligasyon, binitawan na po ng Department of Budget and Management kay Department of Transportation. Tama po ba?
That's correct, sir.
Dito naman po sa 3 bilyon na nakasama po natin sa JAA, General Appropriations Act po ng 2021, may na-release na po ba si DBM dito po kay Department of Transportation?
Mr. Chair, the request for the service contracting of 3 billion for 2021 was just recently received by the DBM last June 17, 2021. It's now being evaluated by the analyst concerned, sir.
Okay. So ibig sabihin may pera pa po ang DOTR kasi hindi pa po nagagamit. Tama po ba?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's all for the DBM. Maraming salamat po. Sana makinig po kayo sa proseso para naman maganda po ang implementasyon po natin dito sa service contracting. Now, thank you. Pupunta na po ulit tayo rito kay Department of Transportation. Andiyan po ba kayo? ASEC or USEC Gonzalez? Anyone from the Department of Transportation?
ASEC Manager Gonzalez.
Speaking for ASIC Mani.
ASIC Mani,
Yes, here.
good morning, ASIC Mani. Are you the right Assistant Secretary from the Department of Transportation that can respond relevant to fiscal matters or money matters, ASEC?
Mr. Chair, I'm more on the I act in special concern of the Department of Transportation, Mr. Chair. I have no knowledge about the financial matters regarding this business contracting service, Mr. Chair.
Now, clearly the subject matter for today is service contracting. I was hoping that from the Department of Transportation, a plantilla position was sent, will represent the DOTR to respond on fiscal matter relevant to service contracting for us to have a good picture of what is really happening. May I appeal, ASEC, if you can call someone, maybe the secretary, and request if ever the 5,580,000,000 is still with the Department of Transportation, or was it downloaded already to LTFRB?
I will check, Mr. Chair, and I'll give you feedback as soon as I got the information, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat, ASEC. Now, while waiting for the respond, in confirmation lang sana, Chairman, are you in possession now of the entire fund of 5,580,000,000 o wala pa po?
Mr. Chair, if I may, for the information of the body, the entire amount was already downloaded from the DOTR to LTFRB.
Okay, thank you.
Sometime
Ngayon,
November of last year.
okay, thank you very much. Ganito po ang tanong lang natin, no? Kaya andito po nakafocus. What seems to be happening dito po? Bakit po mababa ang utilization rate natin, Chairman Delgra? Pertinent po rito sa service contracting po natin. First question from the chair.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I have a few slides to present, and it would answer the question of the chair as well as put perspective on the.
But the chair is appealing sana maiksi lang ang presentation natin, Chairman. Then we focus first on the entire picture. Bakit po ba talaga, of course, the agenda for today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
This
Chair,
is just, I'm sorry.
The Honorable Biolago is recognized.
Mr. Chair, can you provide also as member the copy of your presentation?
Will do, Your Honor.
Yes,
Comsec, kindly provide the members present para makita po nila ang buong picture po ng pinag-uusapan po tungkol sa service contracting.
One more thing, Mr. Chair. Pwede i-explain din ng
Chairman
ano
Derga.
tong other modes nila na kung saan nagamit yung other modes? Okay, thank
We
you,
will
Madam.
do that in
Thank
our.
you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, please do so. Thank you, Your Honor. Chairman, you're now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members, the honorable members of this committee, as well as to the resource persons here present. Thank you at the outset, thank you for allowing us, the LTFRB, and on behalf of the OTR, for giving us the opportunity to present the latest update on the service contracting program. We know that this program is a innovative and transformative public transport model, not only to address the economic benefit that we need to address, that we need to give to our critically impacted transport sector, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga tsuper, no? At sa ating mga operators din. But it has evolved into a transport model na hindi lang nakakatulong sa mga tsuper at sa mga operator, but lalong-lalo na dito sa ating mga mananakay. So, the service contracting program, as conceived or as stated in the law, directly addresses the issue of subsidy as well as benefit to our PUJ drivers as well as other drivers of other modes and our operators, no, in the public transport industry. Now, so originally, what was conceived by our technical team to come up with the program was on what we call the net service contracting program, kung saan yung pamasahe na makokolekta ng mga tsuper would still be retained by them, but that on top of that, government through the service contracting program will provide additional income to the drivers and operators. As we move on to the program implementation, we developed the gross version of the service contracting program, whereby the entire cost of operating the service is paid for by government. So ito po yung popularly known now as libreng sakay, because the entire operation of the public transport service is paid for by government. Nararapat lang na hindi na maniningil na pamasahe yung operator o yung tsuper. Kaya nga nangyayari na libre na po yung public transport, no? And we see that in a number of places, and I think it was also made mention earlier about the EDSA busway as among those routes which provide libreng sakay po. And where are we now insofar as service contracting program is concerned? So this is po the latest update. We are showing to you the onboarding data per regions. Anyhow, our original concept on the program implementation was to limit the program. Originally, it was for Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao. And considering that mabagal, if I may, yung pag-on-board ng mga drivers at nakikita natin na kailangan na natin ipatupad at may pabilis yung pag-implement ng programang ito, the technical working group recommended and the board approved the increase in the target as well as in the coverage. So hindi lang po limitado dun sa 3 lugar na sinabi ko, kung hindi sa buong bansa, no? As shown here in the slide. Lahat na po, including car and Caraga. And if you may notice, notwithstanding I'm sorry.
Chairman Delgra, para may maganda po ang ating presentasyon. Dito po sa presentasyon nyo, sinasabi nyo po Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Dito po sa pagpaplano ninyo, matanong po ng chair, no? And the Committee on Transportation, sabihin natin proportionate or equitable representation ang Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Dito, matanong ko muna bago po kayo magpatuloy. Kasi nakikita po natin.
We did not.
Please go on. Please go
yes,
on.
Mr. Chair, when
you're recognized.
Yes, thank you. When we did the revision on the program implementation to cover all the regions in the country, our focus was not on the budget reallocation, but rather on the allocation on the number of drivers per region. So, meron po, we missed out one column here, which is actually the target per region chair. We need to register the driver, and once they're registered, we would orient them. And once oriented,
I understand, Chairman. Kaya nga tinatanong ng chair for purposes of informing everyone as well na ito pong pera para po sa bansa ito. Hindi lang po ito sa Luzon, kasama rin po natin ang Visayas at Mindanao. Tama po ba, Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
At kung i-considera po ng planning ninyo, sana sa susunod po ng mga araw, ang suggestion po ng chair habang ginagawa po natin at hinahabol natin sa madaling panahon para magamit po natin sa tama po ang pera. Ang gusto ko lang po malaman ng lahat, ang populasyon po natin ngayon ay nasa 110,198,000 to be specific. Ang 110 million po, 52%, 52% po ay nasa Luzon. 18% po ay nasa 18.90 ay nasa Visayas at 23.86 naman po ay nasa Mindanao. Sana itong binabanggit po natin, dito po si 5,850,000,000 should be equitably programmed and forecasted by your program implementing unit for us to have a balanced disbursement of fund not only in Manila but in Luzon and in Mindanao as well. Pupwede po ba yan? Mahabol natin, Chairman.
Yes, we will, Mr. Chair. We may not be
Thank
able
you.
to do that in this presentation, but
Yes,
with
yes,
your
understood.
recommendation, we will include it in our submission after
Okay,
this
please.
hearing.
Please,
Thank
please
you
go
for
on,
that
Chair.
suggestion, Mr. Chair.
Please go
Now-
on, Chairman.
Apo. So as you can see, there are a number of steps, no? Orientation, and then we take in the contracts. The purpose of this contract really is to find basis for us to spend the taxpayers' money. No? And with this contract, we would now be uploading the drivers into the system, and once they're uploaded, they will be activated. If you notice, there's a decreasing trend of drivers, no? The number of drivers from registration to activation of drivers. That is really a recurring theme, actually pushing the drivers once that they are oriented. We would actually help them facilitate on the contract signing and eventually on the uploading, so that they will now be monitored by the systems manager for purposes of payment later on. Now, insofar as
Pagpatuloy niyo
mode,
po.
I'm sorry.
Go
Insofar
on,
as
please
mode
go
is
on.
concerned, as you can see, TPUJ occupies the largest number of drivers which are being registered from registration to uploaded drivers po, followed by the modern jeepneys, and finally the buses. Yung free ride po, kasama na po yung old modes nito, and dito po yung from 3,995 down to 435 of uploaded drivers. These numbers here, if I may, insofar as the traditional PUJ drivers are concerned, the oriented drivers would constitute, I'm referring to 47,934, would constitute 85% of the total number of oriented
Chairman
drivers.
Delgra, matanong ko lang.
Apo.
Chairman, excuse me. Dito po sa pagpaplano ninyo, naisama niyo po ba ang mga tinatawag natin umbrella organization ng jeepneys, buses, doon po sa mga chapters nila para madali rin po sa inyo? Naisama po ninyo sa planning
Yes po.
po ninyo?
We did.
Kasi
we did.
dito po sa record natin, remember that you signed Department Memo Circular 2020-059 noong Oktubre pa po. No? Kanya lang wala pong magaling, nagsisimula po tayo sa sinatawag sa basic, bagong programa, paano po natin gagamitin ang pera sa tama. Ngayon po, dito sa record natin sinasabi na nung pre-pandemic, yung total number of public utility vehicles nationwide ay nasa 304,449. Tama po ba? Pre-pandemic po.
Yes po, more or less.
Ang current po ay nasa 227,542. Bagsak po tayo ng almost 25%. Ang tumatakbo na lang po ay nasa 74%. Yan po ang numero. Ngayon, medyo malayo po ata tayo. No? After 8 months, ang na-registered na vehicles po natin at drivers, nasa 68,000 pa lang po. No? So, this is something that we have to study. The chair will not question on how you are coming up with the program. Rather, the Committee on Transportation would like to know how we can use the fund, no, dito po sa libreng sakay natin na nagkakaroon po ng equitable representation sa Luzon, sa Visayas, sa Mindanao. Paano nyo rin po, Chairman, magagamit yung pera? Kung halimbawa po, sasabihin nyo, no, magkaroon po kayo ng counting innovation, kaya andito yung COA, sinama po natin para hindi po tayo matcha-charge ng notice of disallowance pagkatapos mo ng programa. Yan po ang pinakamasakit. No? Kaya ang COA, ngayon pa lang, habang ang utilization ng pera, ibalik lang sana natin na sa 11% pa lang. No? Medyo malayo pa. At sinasabi niyo po, sana pagpatuloy natin kasama yung 3 bilyon para po, no? Ulitin po natin, ano pong ginagawa ni Secretary Art Tugade ng Department of Transportation? Ano po ang ginagawa ng LTFRB kay Chairman Delgra? Ano po ang ginagawa ng Kongreso kay Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, ang Chairman ng Committee on Transportation at makasamahan ng Committee on Transportation at mga miyembro po ng 18th Congress? Ano po ang sinasabi ng Senado? Ngayon po, nahirap ang bansa natin. Wala tayong pagkukunan na pera. Gusto po natin buksan uli ang ekonomiya. Kanya lang, hindi man tayo ulitin natin makabigay ng increase ng salary kasi wala po talagang mabibigay. Sumirado po ang lahat ng mga kapitalista, halos lahat, lalo't lalo ng tinatawag na micro, small, medium enterprise. Pupunta po tayo sa direksyon, bibigyan muna natin lunas po ang ating sinatawag na economic frontliners. Namibigyan muna sila ng libreng sakay. Tama po ba, Chairman? That is the intention. Now,
Yes,
sana dito sa programa, nakikita mo natin saan po ang bulto. No, sana dito sa programa, hindi po natin dapat pinag-usapan. Nililiwanag lang po natin na we cannot do this in today's meeting, but we can do this maybe in the next 5 days. Really coming up with a good roadmap collectively, an effort of the legislative branch of government through the House of Representatives and dito po kay Chairman Delgra paano gagamitin, guided of course by the Department of Budget and Management, by the Commission on Audit, how to properly utilize the fund. Kasi ang daming suggestion nakita po natin. No? Ngayon po na nalaman ng mamamayan na libre na po sakay, syempre po alam natin wala na pong gusto magbayad ng public transportation. Tama po ba, Chairman?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Actually, both version of the service contracting program, I'm referring to the net version as well as the gross version. The gross version being known as Libreng Sakay. Both these versions are actually being implemented right now. The first version on the net service contracting program is still being pushed so as to raise the level of service doon sa mga driver. Kasi
tama
po,
yan. Ulitin natin, Chairman, ha? Dito po sinasabi nyo, binibigyan po kayo ng pahintulot ng Department of Transportation. Ano po ang ruta mo nang sisimulan natin para epektibo po tayo? Tama po ba?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
So ang inuuna po natin siguro ang EDSA busway kasi bulk po ng ekonomiya ng Pilipinas tatanggapin natin ay nasa Metro Manila po. In fact, sa National Capital Region, almost 65% of the economic activities of the country andyan po sa National Capital Region. Ganyan po importante si EDSA. Kanya lang tinatanggap rin natin paano po natin gagamitin, no? Tatanungin po natin kung po pwede, no? At kinukonsidera natin si konduktor, kinukonsidera po natin si drivers ng jeepney, ng buses, paano po natin mapapadali. Pero kinikonsidera natin ang pinaka-importante ang mananakay po, the commuting public. Na hindi naman, ulitin ko po yung tanong, Chairman, dito po sa experience natin, sana andyan rin po ba ang Metro Manila Development Authority, COMSEC, kasama rin po ba natin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, nandito po sila. Si Atty. Sarupa po.
Sa simpleng tanong, Chairman Delgra at sa MMDA, dito po ba sa maraming pumipila sa EDSA, dahil po ba dito sa libreng sakay natin, tama po ba?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Insofar as the EDSA busway is concerned, we have seen a dramatic increase in ridership because of the Libreng Sakay po. I did mention this
Okay.
in the previous forum that when we
Now,
started with Libreng Sakay,
second, please go on, Chairman.
when we started with Libreng Sakay along EDSA busway po on March 20. Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Ang isa muna, ang para po sa drivers, mamaya natin pag-usapan. Ang isa naman po, dito sa service contracting na nagre-resulta.
Benefit to drivers are concerned, as well as
I know, given,
Libreng
Chairman, but management-wise, to address concern, we can differentiate, although the package is one, but to manage, to micromanage the two things, we have to address clearly the drivers, the conductors, and we have to address the riding public as well. Am I right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now, dito po sa EDSA, unahin na, this is the book para hindi po pipila yan. Wala po, kahit sabihin natin kay Chairman, punuin niyo po ng bus yan, hindi pa rin po kikilos yan. Kasi ita-transfer lang po natin ang traffic sa baba. Hinahanap po ngayon sa totoo lang ng ating mamamayan ang libreng sakay at naintindihan po natin sila. Kaya nga, ditong COA, magkakaroon tayo ng modifikasyon po sa natatanggapin, ang cost, because if you flood everything on the buses, and clearly, as what the chair said, from a low of 40,000, umabot kayo ng chairman ng 180,000 ridership. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair. 182 was the highest recorded ridership on June 14. And
June 14.
It's already averaging 160 to 180 on a daily basis in the last 2 weeks po.
Paano naman si train? May sumasakay pa rin po ba?
The one along EDSA busway po, for passengers taking EDSA, there are two options, ano? Kasi yung tren andun sa taas, yung bus nasa
Understood.
baba.
Understood. The
pero
reason,
yung
ulitin ko, Chairman, understood. Ulitin lang para maintindihan ng lahat, no? Si EDSA po, no? Ang public transportation na efficient po dyan, yung talagang mass transportation, dalawa po. Si train nasa itaas at si bus nasa ibaba. Ginawa po natin ito sa dahilan po sa restriction po sa pagpipigil ng sinasabi ng Interagency Task Force. Hindi po natin pwede talaga punuin si train at si bus. May cap po yan. Sinasabi si train, 50% lang po. Si bus, 50% lang po. Dahil hindi po natin mapuno, ayaw po natin talagang punuin si bus kasi pag pinuno po natin, tatamaan na naman tayo ng impeksyon ng COVID. Tama po ba, Chairman?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Pero ngayon po sa napapansin natin na libreng sakay, tama po ba na halos wala na pong sumasakay sa train kasi ang iba po natin mga mananakay, the commuting public, of course, wants to take advantage of that free ride. Am I right, Chairman?
Most of the passengers who take advantage of the free ride, which we understand from the rail sector po, sa MRT3 management, there was a corresponding increase in ridership sa train. We were told that there was an increase of something like 30,000 ridership sa train. So we would like to understand.
May I ask, Chairman? May I ask, ComSec, do we have someone from MRT3 management?
We did not invite the MRT, Mr. Chair.
Maybe after this meeting we can discuss further on the concern, because I was to come up with the specific chairman on how we address, kasi pag hindi po pipila po yan. Now dito po sa libreng sakay natin, Chairman, next question, do you come up with the entire day or 24-hour of of course the number of times where buses of course will be applying their routes? Do you come up with the cap? Sabihin natin sa working time 5 to 9, may libre po tayo, and excess to that wala. Then pag uwi niya naman, kasi dalawa po yan, ano? Makikita po natin, alam nito. Kahit po rito sa lahat ng kasamaan po natin sa bus at lahat po ng mananakay. Ang ating pong tinatawag na dynamics po dyan, ang normal talaga na ginagawa ng ating mga commuting public. Sa umaga po, alas 5 ng umaga hanggang alas 8:30, alas 9, papunta po yan sa trabaho niya. Tama po ba, Chairman?
Yes po.
Then paghapon naman from maybe 5, 8, or pampauwi na naman po yan.
If
Tama
I-
po ba, Chairman?
Actually,
go.
Mr. Chair, if I may, yung libreng sakay po, habang bukas po yung, for example, in the case of EDSA, busway, and that goes with all, I say this, all libreng sakay routes all across the country, habang may tumatakbo na units po, it's not being restricted on whether it's peak hours or off-peak hours. It's the whole stretch of the operation of that particular route that libreng sakay po yan, lahat-lahat. So for purposes of, for example, in the case of EDSA, libreng sakay po yan from 4 o'clock, the start of operation, hanggang 12 midnight po. Ang pagkaalam ko, hanggang 12 midnight, meron po pong bus sa EDSA, libreng sakay pa po yan.
But can we come up with a good note, Chairman, to give priority rito po sa tinatawag natin ang nagtatrabaho po, no? So
Yes,
that we
po.
can come up with a good, efficient, and of course, effective utilization of government funds sa libreng sakay po. Can we give priority, although mahirap, but we can do that using, of course, increasing the manpower. Pwede po natin gamitin ang konduktor kung may pera man tayong gagamitin. And I believe so. We can work on this. This will be studied thoroughly in the next 5 days. So, wag natin tagalan kasi gusto po natin gamitin yung pera. Magamit po natin yung iiba at lagyan po natin ng tama pong oras si bus. 4 hanggang alas 9. No? We can fully maximize. Kasi babayaran niyo po dyan per trip. Tama po ba, Chairman?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I missed you out there.
Ang babayaran po natin dyan ay per trip. Tama po ba?
Yung babayaran po sa
Service
operator po,
contracting.
sa service contracting is cost per kilometer.
More or less, you calculate
gaano
that.
katagal po siya, I'm sorry. Yes po,
Kung
Mr.
gaano
Chair.
siya katagal, tapos na monitor nyo to sa systems niyo na umiikot talaga siya. But we can really utilize, we can increase the number based on the needed, the demand as well at the ground. Pag dito po sa tinatawag natin alas 4 hanggang alas 9, pwede nyo increase ang number of buses. Tapos pag uwi naman po nila, pwede rin po natin i-increase ang buses. Tama po ba, Chairman?
Mr. Chair,
Yes po. If I may.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
the Honorable Viola is recognized and Chairman Delga will respond.
Okay. Tama po yan, Mr. Chair. In fact, our instruction po, the single common objective, especially during peak hours, is to run the buses along the single dedicated line on the EDSA busway. Kasi especially during peak hours, kailangan we need to move the commuters, and therefore we need to move the buses as well.
Okay. Chairman
Having said
Delga,
that, I'm sorry po.
the Honorable Violago has some question.
Mr.
Chairman Delga, the Honorable Violago, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, clarification lang po. I just want to know, lahat po ba ng buses na tumatakbo sa EDSA ay libreng sakay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Now, Chairman Delgra, ulitin po natin, we're hoping that you can come up with a good number of buses that you need. Kasi ulit, ang titingnan po natin, after pagkatapos po ng ilang buwan, ang nagagamit lang po natin dito sa 5,850,000,000 at na-obligate po dito sa sinatawag na service contracting ay medyo mababa pa po, 11%. Dito po sa tanong ni Honorable Violago.
If I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
the Honorable Sontay is recognized.
Yeah, may I just, sorry, I
The
came in
Honorable
late.
Sontay is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I came in late. May I know how many buses are running the EDSA route right now, currently?
Currently, Your Honor, if I'm not mistaken, 300, close to 350 buses.
At 350 buses, and ilan ho yung capacity per bus?
It's half the capacity per the guidelines to address public health protocol po. So depending on, because these are low floor, low entry buses.
So 30 passengers per bus. Yun na yung 50% capacity, ba?
Apa.
So that's around tapos ano ho yung nagiging problema natin kagaya ng sinabi ni Chair Sarmiento, madami pa tayong allocated funds ang hindi nagagamit, which was supposedly allotted for yung mga buses. But wala na ho ba tayong makuha ang mga ibang participants doon sa to serve yung EDSA bus route natin?
May I answer that twofold, Your Honor? Actually, I was about to go to, in my presentation, I was about to go to the disbursement side. But just to answer the question on the EDSA busway po, the number of authorized